Hi, welcome to NDD Connects Behind the Scenes with Newport Downtown Development. I'm Emily Smart, board member of NDD. My special guest today is Casey Winterson with NEK-TV. Casey, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. My name's Casey Winterson, Director of Economic and Community-Based Services at Northeast Kingdom Community Action.
Awesome. How long have you been with NEK-TV?
3 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you like it?
I do. It's a great agency. I've always wanted to work in a place that gives back to the community in some way. So throughout my career, that's always been a place. This is my second community action agency in Vermont. So.
Amazing.
Following a trend.
That's great. So for viewers who may not be familiar, myself included, could you tell us a little bit about Northeast Kingdom Community Action, NEK-TV, and the overall mission?
Yeah, of course. So our mission is for all generations in the Northeast Kingdom to grow, prosper, and thrive. And we do that through a whole host of different programs that we have. So we have kind of two different entities with, it's all one agency, but there's two different kind of clear pathways. There's the early education world, and then there's the community-based services. And within the community-based services, which is what the departments I oversee, we have our fuel program, our economic equity department, our social justice department, and then we have outreach, housing, and then our food security programming.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then we also have our Head Start and Early Head Start programming and our early childhood world through the parent-child centers that are throughout Vermont. So we have two of the parent-child centers, one in Newport, one in St. Johnsbury. And then we also run a whole host of different programs outside of those two that support that kind of entity of getting folks connected with early education services.
So there's a partner, so to say, that runs that group, that silo, the early education?
So it's all NEK-TV. It's
right.
all run by NEK-TV. There's the director of early education and early childhood services, who's my counterpart. Her name's Nancy.
That was the word I was looking for, counterpart.
Yeah. So Nancy is my counterpart, and she oversees all the early ed department. So the Head Starts, our Parent-Child Center, our CIS programming, and a couple others.
Awesome. So under your purview, what are the primary areas of focus? Like you talked about them a little bit. Could you give me a little bit more, like fuel assistance and weatherization? Like we talked a little bit before we started, you don't technically do the weatherization. Can you tell me a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so in the Northeast Kingdom, Northeast Training Organization, NETO, does weatherization. We provide referrals into that program. So throughout the state, there are 5 weatherization departments. We're the only one that isn't embedded within the community action program. The other 4 are all embedded within the CAP agency itself. So the services that we provide out of NEK-TV are the Crisis Fuel Program, which is a state-run program providing low-income Vermonters access to fuel benefits. So getting them, whether it's a fill-up on the oil or it's paying back electric that is responsible for keeping their house heated.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the programs that we run. We also have a program called Warmth, which is a donation-based program that does the same thing, but is usually kind of used as a cap at the beginning and the end of the season when crisis fuel closes out, but it's still cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the shoulder seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, side note, my husband works for NETO, and one of the things that I've often misunderstood, and I think is a common misunderstanding, is low income. Do you have those numbers? Like, what does that look like in our community?
Yeah, so I can give you the percentages, which is kind of not super helpful, but right now the programs for like crisis fuel, for instance, runs at 200% of the federal poverty limit. Some programs, so they've kind of swung during COVID. They were at 200, and some of them are starting to drop back down. They're starting to get lower, so like the 125 area. But generally speaking, right now we're looking at 200% of the federal poverty limit.
So meaning the federal poverty level is here, so we're doubling that. That's our threshold. Am I understanding that number correctly?
Yeah, so it's 200% of that line, so it'd be 200% additional to that.
Wow.
Yep.
So it's pretty high bar. I mean, really, like.
You think that it is. It's still pretty low.
Yeah.
It's still pretty low in number. We have, so the Northeast Kingdom is one of the most impoverished areas in
Right.
the whole state. So when we actually look at what those numbers look like, and I wish I had a number off the top of my head, but
okay.
I don't, and I'm not going to
Yeah,
try to make
yeah.
one up. But those numbers are a lot lower than what you would think 200% would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just has surprised me how many people qualify for it that don't know they qualify for it.
Oh,
So
of course.
if you think you're in that region, I mean, definitely ask for help.
Yeah, of course.
Look into it. So let's talk about maybe food security programs. That's
Totally.
something under your purview as well?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Northeast Kingdom Community Action has 4 different food shelves, 4, like, I guess they're all brick and mortar, but 4 main food shelves. So we've got one in Canaan, one in Island Pond, one in Newport, and one in St. Johnsbury. And then we've got a couple of satellite locations throughout our different Head Start locations and our early childhood centers. Altogether, that programming feeds Northeast Kingdom individuals. We provide food that is by donation that we get from the community members, that we purchase ourselves through discretionary dollars, through some funds that we get. And then we also provide the TFAP food, which is the federal benefit food. And all of that together kind of rounds out our entire programming. Unfortunately, it is significantly grown over the years, especially as a result of COVID and the increases that we've seen on the costs of food. So currently, we're somewhere in the ballpark of like $250,000 a year that goes directly to this program, of which less than $100,000 is actually paid for by any sort of grants. So it costs a lot of money to feed Vermonters. It costs a lot of money to feed the Northeast Kingdom, and that's somewhere that we continue to grow and develop and try to bring more money in so that we can continue those services. But it's a really important one. It's usually kind of our entry point for a lot of folks. So folks will come in looking for food, and then we'll be able to connect them with all the other resources that we have within NECA, all the different programs that they might qualify for.
Awesome. So as a community member, how could I help with that program?
Yeah, so we are always taking donations. You can go to any one of those sites that I said. So Island Pond, Canaan, Newport, which is at 70 Main Street here in Newport, or our 115 Lincoln Street in St. Johnsbury. And you can donate a bag of food, or for folks that are maybe not able to donate food and want to donate like a check or cash, we accept all of that. We're always looking for volunteers to help within the centers themselves. Even just one day a week is really helpful for programming. It allows our staff to be able to do some of the things that are kind of on the back boiler, as more hands are in there. So those are kind of the 2 major ways. I'd also say like reaching out to our local delegation and reminding them how important programming for food is in the state, so that they can bring that back to Montpelier, and hopefully give some more dollars to places like Community Action and the food pantries that are throughout the state.
That's a great reminder. Yeah, I appreciate that. So if I were to come in to volunteer, what kind of work would I be doing? Am I given trainings? Just be really frank, I have social anxiety. So like what's an entry point for me to get in there and do some volunteering?
Yeah, so I mean, it could be really anything. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at the food shelf. If there are other programs, like all the programs can always use volunteers. So that's the beauty of community action. Yeah. But if you're looking specifically to get into like the world of food security, you would come in and we have a volunteer application that you have to fill out, because we are paid for in some part by federal grants. So we have to do some background screens and all of that fun stuff. And after that, I mean, it could be as not forward facing as coming in on the off hours and helping stock shelves, or bag up dog food, or, clean out the old stuff that wasn't given out, which is usually not the case. Usually it's all empty by the end of the day. But doing kind of those rotational pieces, or you can come in and help during the day when folks are coming in. We can always, use assistance with just another extra person, kind of guiding folks around in the different locations. yeah, it's kind of a choose your own adventure. Kind of whatever you want to do, we can probably accommodate.
I love that. I love that. So it sounds like there's a little bit for everyone.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to housing programs.
Totally. So we have a whole host of housing programs that are mostly state-run programs that are designated to the different CAP agencies. So the big one that we run is the Housing Opportunity Grant Program, and that's a program that provides case management for folks that are at risk of or experiencing homelessness. They also, as the process moves along, if someone is at risk of homelessness, we can assist them in paying back rent dollars, or if they are homeless and they're looking to move into a new apartment, we can pay for the first kind of 3 months getting in. So first, last security deposit, whatever that may be. We also have the Coordinated Entry Program, which is another large state program, and it is basically what allows us to have an idea of the individuals that are experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness in Vermont. So it's an assessment process that folks who are experiencing or at risk of homelessness come in. We ask them a whole host of questions. We get them on a list, and it's a prioritization list for like when vouchers come up, or in different programs that we have that are based off of kind of that prioritization. And then the last one, which is also underneath the HOP program, but another important one, it's not here in Newport, but down in St. Johnsbury, is our 20-bed shelter at Moose River. So that's a collaboration between Northeast Kingdom Community Action and Rural Edge. And it's a 20-bed shelter that is 24/7, 365, and provides 20 individuals a space to kind of drop and hang out and be and work on themselves for housing, job, whatever it may be, so that we can, get them back into the system of, living in an apartment, having a job, whatever it may be, so that we can really pull them out of poverty and pull them out of homelessness.
Excellent. I'm so impressed with how much detail you have on all these programs, Casey. So let's move on. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but I just want to keep going. Let's talk about transportation programs.
Yeah, so NECA does not have a real big hand in transportation programs. Obviously, we have a large stake because there's a lot of individuals that we serve that utilize, transportation, RCT, all of that. But we did do a really exciting program this year. We had a collaboration with RCT and provided some funding to start a Saturday bus service throughout the winter in St. Johnsbury for the Jalen route, which is kind of the number one used route. I would assume that's an assumption. It's one of the number one used routes, in my opinion, that connects St. Johnsbury and Lindenville. And we were able to support them for basically the whole winter. The program just ended, I think, 10-ish days ago. And it was wildly successsul. Within the first, I think, 2 weeks, they served over 100 individuals, which is a high number for RCT. Yeah. Not something that we necessarily have any programming for, but something that we're always trying to support, especially with the folks that we serve, many of them utilizing RCT and other kind of resources.
Yeah, well, hopefully with that success, you'll be able to keep doing it maybe in the future years.
Yeah, that's the hope. We're looking for some grants because it came off of kind of a one-off grant. So we're looking for some new grants to be able to kind of rotate it every year. And then RCT is doing some of their own work on the back end to see if it might be something that they could work in as a regular route for service.
Again, talk to your delegation, right?
Yes, talk to your delegation, especially in a year of major cuts. All these programs really do matter, and these are all of the ones that are currently on the chopping block.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, financial literacy and asset building?
Yeah, so we have our economic department, which has a whole bunch of different programs underneath it. We have our financial coaching program. We have our micro business development program, our green saving program, which is financial coaching with a green lens.
Yeah.
We also are doing Vita Tax. We're, as everyone knows, just getting through the tax season. So we have been doing all the taxes since January and are aiming, I think, around 300 individuals that we've done direct tax assistance for. I'm probably missing one because that's how it goes. But the program. The department is really there to provide supports for folks to kind of build on their assets, whether it's even at the starting point of like just opening up a savings account, or something more kind of direct of like micro business. I want to open up a business. Here's my business plan. I need a coach. So our coaches assist with kind of the whole gambit when it comes to financial literacy and all of that.
That's fantastic. Being on the board of Newport Downtown Development, we're always looking for, businesses that are wanting to start up in the downtown area. So maybe we should do some collaboration.
Yeah, I would
there.
love to. We've got a case manager that so he started off opening up his own business, and we are so lucky to have him because he's got that firsthand experience and knowledge of like how to work through the whole process.
Yeah.
So it really lends to, some really deep work when it comes to getting, that process really going through it wholeheartedly and understanding like all of the different facets that come with opening up a small business, a micro business.
Yeah, it can be pretty intimidating. I think a lot of people have great ideas and these visions for Main Street or wherever their community is, but getting started it's like that first step.
Yeah, and we can help with that first step.
That's amazing. Can you tell me what are the qualifications if someone wanted to go down?
Well, they should always call our main line, and they can ask to speak with somebody in microbusiness. Generally speaking, it's the same kind of idea of the FPL. So that program, I believe, is 125. So it is still a low-income program, providing assistance for folks with low income. But outside of that, I mean, you can come in with just kind of asking some feel-out questions, or you may be ready to kind of move forward with a business plan or whatever it may be. Dusty is our case manager. He can help with kind of all of the steps of the process. So
got that. Call Dusty. Okay, sounds good.
Call Dusty.
Call Dusty. I love that. So let's move on to community organizing and engagement. This is something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. So there's a lot. I mean, community action at its existence is community organizing. I think that recently we've seen a lot of community organization around the thrift store, and that is the entry point. Is if there's something that means something to you in the community, and you don't feel like it's something that is being talked about, but it feels like it's something that might kind of be in the wheelhouse of a program that NEK-TV could support with, reach out, always ask the question. That's how we build our communities up, is by working together. So the thrift store, as folks might have seen on another episode here, was unfortunately temporarily closed as a result of some funding challenges that we saw from the federal administration. And a couple community members are like, no, we want to keep it open. And that's what it takes to do community organizing. Outside of that, there's a bunch of opportunities for folks within Northeast Kingdom Community Action to do community organizing, whether it's volunteering or advocating at the state level of things that are needed by the CAP agencies or by NECA specifically. All of those things help. We're run by a board of directors, and there is sometimes openings for seats for that board, which is another great way for folks to be involved. We've also got a couple of other different programs that have advisory councils that folks can jump into and support, and kind of boots on the ground that way.
Yeah. So in gist, if there's any of this sounds exciting to you, and we didn't really talk about education, but that's a big part of what NECA does as well, reach out.
Yeah,
because you're always looking for volunteers and assistance in a variety of ways, it sounds like. Yeah,
we totally are always looking for any sort of support from folks, whether that be financial or volunteer in-kind hours, whatever that is, we're always looking for support. And again, that's how we grow our communities to be the strong communities that we want them to be.
Yeah.
If folks are ever interested in getting connected, they can reach out to me directly. My email is cwinterson@nekavt.org. They can also reach out to our general line, which is info@nekavt.org. And then we also have our 1-855 number, which is our general line. It comes to somebody in Vermont. It's not a call answering service. It's just a number that covers all of our locations. So folks can get directly connected to whoever they're looking to.
Amazing. All right. So over the coming year, what are the priorities and goals for NECA?
That's a great question, and a loaded one, I think.
Yeah.
Right now, it's sustain. I think that we are going through kind of unprecedented times with federal changes and dollars and all of the things. So I think right now is us moving forward and also sustaining the whole at the same time. I think on top of that, we've got some really exciting like new programs and developments that are coming up. We have done some restructuring within our agency to better serve individuals from kind of a holistic, whole family kind of nature. Rather than someone just coming in for one service, they're coming in and they're being assessed kind of all the services that we have. So they are maybe getting access to crisis fuel, but they're also getting access to early ed or to the housing program or to whatever, you know, the needs may be. Yeah. So I think that like sustain is definitely, I'm gonna say probably common across all nonprofits right now. But for us specifically, it's growing into this kind of new approach of service, this comprehensive matrix of serving folks, not just for the service they came in for, but the service that will like fully meet their needs and really work to pull them out of poverty.
Awesome. So you told us how we can get in touch, and I just want to reiterate, because I feel like this is such a great program. You cover so many areas. This is a great way for community members to get involved, help out their neighbor, be good stewards for their community. I just want to thank you again for being here, talking with me, tell me all about NEK-TV.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate the hard work you're doing and all your team members. What a great organization.
Thank you so much. Couldn't do it without the whole team at NEK-TV. It's, 170 odd employees that come to work every day, loving the work that they do, and the support of the community. I mean, that's what makes us a community action agency. So thank you for the opportunity to talk. I always love talking about NEK-TV and look forward to more connections.
Yeah, I can see the passion in you. Yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah, thanks so much. That's it from me. See you next time. Have a great day.